Good sticks, everyone! Welcome to this Halloween edition of the Captain Avalanche Fancast, your unofficial source for all things Colorado Avalanche hockey and more from a fan perspective. Hosted by me, Captain Avalanche Corey, and Spookmaster Supreme Dom. Now, we're no insiders. We're not inside the locker room face-to-face with our favorite haunts, but we hope to create a relatable and welcoming environment because we're just like all of you listening, fans with a deep passion for the game of hockey, and in this case, the Colorado Avalanche. It is that time of the year once again, Halloween! Much to my excitement, the Avalanche actually get to play a game on Halloween this year, which is also immediately followed by another back-to-back. The scariest thing is the scheduling. The Avalanche play a weekend back-to-back with puck drop 22 hours apart, which is the shortest it can possibly be by league standards, accompanied then by a home-and-home against the current top team in the league, the Devils. Fitting. Then you have to wait until Friday to play, where you have to face the Knights and immediately face the Sharks 24 hours later. The true scariest thing, however, for the Avalanche was overtime, as the Avalanche went 1-1-2 this week, capturing a total of 4 of the possible 8 points. Not bad, but not the best after starting the year in nothing but the win column. But the Avalanche put their Halloween costumes on early this year as they suited up in the Heritage Series against the Carolina Hurricanes and became the Nordiques. But this went far beyond just a uniform. The Avalanche suddenly had an identity crisis. Instead of a traditional breakdown, we'll venture into the common themes of the 4 monster games the Avalanche played this week, pun intended, and look at things that are, in my opinion, to the team's identity and things that are certainly not. Next, we'll dive into the cauldron with Dom this week as the Sharks did the most horrifying thing any team could think of. Win a hockey game! Finally, we have a chilling and mysterious fun fact to leave you with this week as we send you off into the spookiest day of the year. So, let's monster. Well, I guess I have myself just hopping right into this section here. First of all, Dom, I'm very sorry because I'm pretty sure that the Sharks once again are going to have to take on their old flame in Mackenzie Blackwood this weekend as our teams clash.
I mean, I'm more worried about our defense than who we're playing against in net, honestly, because the Sharks, I'll talk about it some more, but they've been, in general, shooting the puck a lot more. So, who knows? Maybe we'll catch Blackwood napping a little bit, but it'll be a good game and another exciting one for us to talk about here on the next episode, since it's our first Avs versus Sharks game of the season, and it's already right around the corner.
I know, and we get 3 of them this year, which is super great, with 2 of them being here in the hometown state. So definitely can't complain there. And yeah, you might be catching a fresh Blackwood here, but I don't know. Maybe they'll put him to the test against Vegas, but I doubt that. I feel like they want to go with Wedgwood, who's a bit more in flow right now, but I thought they should have put in Trent Miner against the, against the Bruins, and then Wedgwood against the Devils, but what the hell do I know? So, moving on, though. We'll just jump right into it. The identity crisis. This week, in case you didn't know, because it wasn't stuffed down our throats enough, the Quebec Nordiques played the Hartford Whalers in Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. In reality, it was the Avalanche and Hurricanes cosplaying the historic franchises that came before them that would eventually morph into the teams that we know and love today. The jerseys were fresh to death, but it somehow felt like we were watching a Hartford and Nordiques game. This contest was an absolute barn burner, and it felt like the Avalanche took on more of the NHL version of the Quebec Nordiques than maybe they should have. Now, listen, I realize that I may have been hard on the Quebec Nordiques in episodes past. They did have some winning seasons, and right before they transitioned into the Colorado Avalanche, they were looking very promising. However, while they did make 9 playoff appearances, they only finished above fourth in their division, comprised of 5 teams until 1992, 5 times in 16 years. There was a period from 1987 to 1992 where they finished dead last in consecutive seasons. Now, the Avs have had their own dark years from about 2011 to 2017, but there was still a playoff appearance and various placements mixed in. Dark ages come for every NHL team, but the Quebec Nordiques were far from world beaters. Anyway, this is not meant to be a shit on the Nordiques section. I'm more just using this as a poorly written setup for this section, but let's take a look at what is and isn't to the modern day Avalanche's identity in Identity Crisis. I don't know. What do you think, Dom? Was that the right cadence there? Was that the right flair to Identity Crisis? Would you have done it any differently?
I mean, I like that flair, and I was hearing the Law and Order dun dun sound right after it as you were saying it. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying maybe it'll pop up in post. I don't know. That's I can't wait for the surprise to see if there's anything sound effect wise.
Well, you've said it now, so anticipate that. All right, so we're just going to jump back and forth here, not to their identity. Letting in 4 consecutive goals. To think that the Avs would let up 4 consecutive goals, or at least 4 goals in a single period, not once, but twice, is kind of unbelievable. With the starts of the season that they did have, but even disregarding that, I could see this happening with Georgiev or Onanen in net, but the Avalanche operate on a solid team defense strategy and have demonstrated that they can heavily limit their opponent's shot opportunities and chances towards the net. It's one of the things that won them the cup when they limited Tampa to 2 shots in the third period of Game 6. Their team save percentage is .901% compared to a league average of .889. That's excellent. Carolina was not Wedgwood's best game, but I don't solely blame the goaltender for every single one when 4 get passed in one period, even if I can't see or watch the game. However, New Jersey on Tuesday was not the team defense's best game, as after scoring 5 goals, the Avalanche took their foot off the gas against the current best team in the NHL, who took advantage of every second the Avalanche gave them, scoring 4 goals in 4 minutes and 4 seconds. And the Avs almost blew a game in which they had a 5-goal lead. This is just unacceptable, and they should be embarrassed. Cale Makar stepped up and spoke on as much despite having a monster 4-assist night. Thankfully, the Avs bounced back, locked it down, and put 3 more on the scoreboard to create a safety net. But what are we doing? We knew 1 goal a game couldn't last forever, but 4 in 1 period in 2 games within the same time frame is showing a loss of focus at multiple points in a contest. We all know it takes a full 60 to win. You know what, Dom? I'll pause after each thing here. If you don't have anything to add, you don't need to, but I will leave you some space here.
I would just say that in general, scoring is up around the league. I feel like it's been trending up in general, but there have been a lot more of these high scoring back and forth games where defense is optional. And it's not just because I watch the Sharks and defense is optional, because we have done, but the reality is scoring is up around the league. And when you have these high quality teams like New Jersey, like Colorado, with all of the offensive firepower they have, a team like Carolina as well, since you also were talking about that Nordiques versus Whalers game. I mean, these teams are super talented and can really score a bunch of goals in a short period of time if you're not careful. And that's just the offensive talent we have pretty consistently around the league these days. So I think it's incredible that the Avs won as long as they did, with averaging only giving up a goal a game. And there was going to be some regression to the mean always, but I think this was a sharp regression, a sharp transition, like a full 180 that I don't think anyone could have predicted.
Listen, I appreciate your analysis, Dom, and you're right. Scoring is up, although it's kind of leveled out here over the last couple years. But anyway, it's dumb, and I don't like that the Avalanche let in 4 goals. But thank you. All right, I think you'll like this one, Dom. To their identity, Cale Makar is second in his draft class in points as a defenseman. There was a fun graphic shown during the game that showed the points totals of the 2017 draft class as 2 of its premier players were facing off in the matchup on Tuesday, and Cale Makar and Nico Hischier. That draft class was stacked, as it also featured players like Elias. I think it's Elias. Is it Elias or Elias? Which one is this? Who is EP40? Is he Elias or is he Elias Pettersson? I think he's Elias Pettersson, and then the other one is Elias Pettersson. And then, of course, you have the other Pettersson, which is Marcus Pettersson. There's too many Petterssons.
I mean, they're spelled the exact same way, and they're
I'm
both
scared.
Swedish, so I have no idea which one is which. I couldn't tell you.
I'm scared, Dom. I don't know what to do. It's like there's doppelgangers. This is horrific on a Halloween night. Ah! Okay, anyway. It also included the likes of Miro Heiskanen, Marty Netchis, Jake Ottinger, Nick Suzuki, and many, many more. Dom, I don't know if you've taken a look at the page for the 2017 draft class, but I mean, it's hard to scroll even a player down and not say, yeah, that guy's tearing up the league right now. Like I said, needless to say, there's a deep talent pool who came into the league from that draft class, some of whom absolutely just dominate today. But the fun part of this stat is that all of the players drafted in 2017, or of all the players drafted in 2017, only one of the top 5 is in points is a defenseman. Cale Makar, who sits second on the list with 443 points, only barely behind Elias Pettersson at 465, who has played 76 more games than Makar. Hischier, for those wondering, is at 432 points. Cale Makar followed that stat block by adding 4 assists to his point totals to once again lead all defensemen in the NHL with 15 points in 11 games. 100-point season, here we come.
Yeah, I mean, we predicted it before the season, and Cale's right on pace, doing what we would expect.
Actually,
so,
we need to
like
find
you
out,
said, to their identity.
Is he on pace? Let's see. 15 divided by 11. Nope, not 110. Okay, that's 1.36 goals per game. Multiply that out by an 82 game.
It's 112.
About 112. So, I mean, yeah, he keeps this up. He definitely could. Just score 4 assists every game, Cale Makar. Easy enough. All right. This is gonna be everybody's favorite section here. Not to their identity. The power play doesn't work. And Dom, I'm gonna roll right into the next section after this one. You'll see why. Before the Devils game, the Avalanche had a total of 4 power play goals. Or against Carolina, they had 8 total attempts and only managed 1 power play goal once they got Valeri Nichushkin on the top unit. Then, during OT, the Avalanche got another call after successfully killing off 1 power play of their own, and with a 4-on-3, couldn't score and went to a shootout. We'll talk more about OT and shootouts later. This leads to everyone getting trauma from last year because the biggest reason the Avalanche lost to the Stars in the playoffs is because they couldn't capitalize on the power play. We even fired a coach who was the fall guy for that, hired a new coach, and it feels like as fans, we're seeing the same thing all over again and are asking Nathan MacKinnon, what does a good power play look like? Before Tuesday's Devils game, the Avs had 39 power play opportunities to their opponents' 28. After the Devils game, that jumped to 45, which is the single most in the league. But 4 goals on 39 opportunities is 10.25%. The league average is 21.32%. That's not good. Something needed to change because it genuinely felt like no one knew why it couldn't work. This power play unit is absolutely loaded with weapons. McKinnon, Makar, Netches, pair anyone with that duo. Duo? That's 3 people. I named 3 people and I said pair anyone with that duo. I
I mean, hey, it happens to the best of us, and let's be real, like McKinnon and Makar are just kind of one melded being of awesomeness if you just think about it. They're the one handles the offense, one handles the defense, and yet they both play well on both ends of the ice.
Dom, I appreciate you trying to bail me out there, but we'll just accept that I probably can't count, and there's probably a good reason that I left my career here. Anyway, it feels like it
wait,
should.
wait, really quickly.
No.
Is McKinnon not that great at defense? Am I missing something? Have I been a poor co-host?
I mean, like, he's not like terrible, but I mean, if you look at, and I could talk about this in a little bit, if you look at like the Utah game where he basically gave the puck to Utah, he was late on his back check. Not that he doesn't back check, like he does back check and he does defend, but it is just not like the strongest tool in his tool bag. Like if you had to nitpick any part of Nathan McKinnon's game, it would probably be like team defense, and that would be it.
Gotcha. Well, then continue talking about your not a duo then.
Yeah, not a duo. Let me see. I was just looking here to see if I had like any good defensive stats here. Oh yeah, here we go. Anyway, nope, we're moving on. But it feels like this power play unit should score every time they're a man up, but they simply haven't been. And it's been an utterly baffling mystery. The power play just didn't work until it does. And that is to the Avalanche's identity. It only took the Avalanche playing the second best penalty kill in the league and going 4 for 6 on their opportunities to finally wake up. This effectively doubled their power play goal total and brought the percentage to a much better, not great, but better 17.78% in a single game. My biggest thought as to why the PP wasn't working, at least partially, was mental warfare. As I've said time and time again, hockey is more of a mental game than it is a physical one, and when a player or team is stuck in a positive, or in this case, negative rut, it can be incredibly difficult to break out of. I believed this to be the case for the Colorado Avalanche power play, compounded by what happened last year. When it didn't get off to a hot start, it immediately was met with heavy scrutiny and questions from both the media and fans. However, apart from finally breaking through in a big way, the Avalanche did a few other things that I think brought them great success on these power play opportunities. For one, this is likely an isolated game. Most games don't get this many power play chances, and you are hardly ever going to get 6. But if the Avs are going 1 for 4, especially when it counts, that's all I can ask. Anyways, as we saw at the conclusion of the Carolina game, when on the 7th power play, the Avalanche finally scored. Who was it? The train, Valeri Nichushkin. And where was he? Net front, cleaning up the garbage, immovable by any opposing player. I am genuinely shocked that it took this long to get a gigantic Russian man on the top power play. No one on the Avalanche previous to this was really cycling net front. Then you make him a permanent fixture, and suddenly the power play is clicking. The other thing the Avs did was simplify. I disagree that they weren't shooting the puck. When they were able to get set up, they would pepper on good chances, but nothing would get through because they were too caught up in overpassing and finding the perfect lane to shoot. Instead, against the Devils, they simply got the puck to where it needed to go and hammered one-timers, and those either went in or they cleaned up the rebounds. Nate hadn't been doing it at all, and this made no sense because he did it so often before, and it worked before. So now all of a sudden we don't want to do it when I don't understand. Then Nate and Marty were doing it. And man, what a shocker. It really started working. All this is to say is hopefully this is the start of some positive momentum for whenever the Avalanche are up on the man advantage.
Well, and I'll say this just as some instant reaction to you describing the addition of Nichushkin is he offers a different element, like you said, with that size. And when you have all this speed, the circling, the cycling, the passing, I imagine as a defense or as a penalty killer, you're almost setting up like a zone defense, right? If you have a big ass man in front of the net who's creating a screen, you need to get him out of the way or always keep a body on him because even if you're next to somebody, they're not necessarily covered, especially on a power play. And so I think Chu being there, pulling at least one defenseman or one player into man coverage, let's call it. There's less players to run in the zone. There's suddenly a triangle, a lot more passing lanes can open. So even if they're firing it more like they should, it helps to have a massive screen and someone there drawing attention at the front of the net so that the rest of the skaters for the penalty kill aren't free to just move back and forth in between lanes without tiring out their legs either.
Exactly. Well, maybe they should make you the power play coach, Dom, because you seem to understand it better than anybody else in the arena, on the Avalanche bench, or on the ice seems to. But again, it's clicking now. Unfortunately, it just seems like whenever the Avalanche have less than 5 people on the ice, it's just a problem, unless it's the PK, in which case we'll get to that. But here's something else that's not to the Avalanche's identity, and that's sucking absolute ass in OT. Just like the woes that have struck the power play, this simply does not compute. I'm not going to give you fancy numbers or anything other than the Avalanche have had 4 of their 11 games go to overtime, and they have, so far, lost all 4. The Avalanche can, at times, be a little hot and cold in overtime, but all 4? And some of those losses have come down to absolutely awful giveaways by some of the best players in the world. Not even giveaways, really, but literally passing the puck to the other team. Overtime is a possession game. If you don't have the puck on your stick, you are at a disadvantage. You should be fighting to get it back. And when you have 3 of the fastest and most skilled players on the ice at once, that should be an almost lock for a victory, especially when you win that initial faceoff. But the behavior in all of the OTs is just unacceptable, especially if you aren't going to get back on the back check, i.e. what me and Dom were talking about earlier. The most frustrating parts are the OTs where the Avs do have that possession and they play well and they just can't end it. And then they go to a shootout and it feels almost like a guaranteed loss at this point. It's still early, but fans should not be utterly dreading this team going to overtime.
Well, and I don't think you need to dread the team going to overtime, but a shootout. And that's what it comes down to is if you are going to a shootout, the game is basically a tie. Let's be real. We've talked about this before. The shootout is a shitty way to decide a winner. So as far as I'm concerned, I mean, how many of their games this season, those OT losses were in shootouts?
2. No.
2. So
3.
3. So 3 of their 4 overtime losses, they didn't even lose with any time on the clock. There was no regulation.
Nope, wait,
there was
wrong.
no
Sorry.
extra time.
2. It's 2. I'm dumb.
2. Okay, fine. 2. Still, point is that on the season, maybe a more apropos way of saying this is they have 6 wins, 3 losses, and 2 ties. Because the shootout, it really is a dumb way to decide a winner. And we know it is not the Avs' strong suit. We know that you taught me this last season, Corey, about how Nathan McKinnon is not the best at taking shootouts and little things, little factoids about where I don't know the exact rhyme or reason why, but the Avs' speed advantage, this much seems clear to me, is not applicable in a shootout. So, I don't necessarily fault them because they played to a draw and these are against good playoff teams. But I can validate if it's someone who knows that it's stressful late in games when your team just can't seem to get the win that they deserve. I do understand how you feel and why it's incredibly frustrating.
And I mean, I will say, with most of their games, it feels like they've at least given themselves a chance to win. But not every game have they deserved to win. I think the one against Utah before last episode was definitely a good example. They just didn't play well. But I mean, they're giving themselves a chance, and I don't actually want to talk too much more because I'm going to end up spoiling future points. But let's look at their identity, and that's being an absolute monster at 5-on-5. Monster seems to be the word of the night tonight. So everybody do something monstrous, within reason, of course. Regardless of any special teams playing 3-on-3, this team is absolutely electric at 5-on-5 play this season, and it has been incredibly fun to watch. I'm going to give this one to you in numbers. The Avalanche currently have 33 even strength goals, which currently leads the NHL. They have a goals for per game of 3.73, which is second in the NHL. They have a Corsi for percentage of 58.4%, which is the best in the NHL from what I could derive. To dive a bit more into what Corsi is specifically, Corsi percentage takes Corsi for divided by Corsi for plus Corsi against at 5-on-5. What is Corsi, though? It is a numeric that measures a team's shots, blocked shots, and misses all added together. It is designed to try and measure control exerted by a team over the course of a game or in a general 5-on-5 situation. If your Corsi is above 50%, that means your team or player is controlling the puck more often, which makes sense because you need to be controlling the puck in order to get shots on the net, or at least around it, or getting them blocked. The Avalanche are quite simply driving the bus at 5-on-5. Am I cherry picking certain metrics here and not looking at the whole and complete picture? 1000%. But I don't need this being 2 hours long. But if you all want to know more, we can certainly dive a little deeper. If you want in a future episode, email us, hit us up on the socials. What you want to know, we will tell you. Awesome. Thank you, Dom. Moving.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
You don't have to
I was
say anything.
I was trying to find and calculate the Sharks Corsi to offer as a comparison, and I couldn't get the data up fast enough.
It's do you know where to find it, or would you like me to look for you?
I mean, if you have it, then I would just let you go share it.
For anybody who's wondering, my favorite website for any of these hockey stats that I get, there are three I think that I use the most, and that's Hockey Reference, Money Puck, and StatMuse. Although some do require some subscriptions, StatMuse being the main one there. But all are great if you want to kind of understand the game at a deeper level. For the Sharks, their Corsi for percentage is 44.5%, meaning they are not quite controlling the game, which makes sense.
Right. Well, I was going to use that as a comparison, is looking at your record, the number of points that the Avalanche have versus the Sharks. It's a 10 percentage difference because you're what, like close to plus 5%, and we're at minus 6%, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, you're even higher. You're at plus 8%. So that it's an astronomical difference in the grand scheme of things. These small differences really have a large measure of difference. Being at 44% is really bad, and 58% is really, really good. So, and I feel like we also had a bit of a breakdown of Corsi percentage last season.
We did. I'm impressed that you remember.
But yeah, so anyway, thanks for helping me find that, because I was intrigued and wanted to compare just how bad my team is by, well, comparison.
Well, interestingly enough, if we look at Money Puck, if you look at the Corsi percentage, shockingly, the two teams with the worst Corsi percentage right now are Dallas and Winnipeg, which makes no sense, but that's what it reads. Let me fucking compare and contrast numbers here. Yeah, the Dallas Stars currently have a Corsi for percentage of 43.4, which is insane, which would explain their rough start to the season. But I mean, they have, kind of bounced back here with a couple really close wins. But I mean, you watch some of their games and they really are getting kind of outplayed right now by almost everyone that they're going up against. But I mean, that shows just how good of a team that they can be, because they're not falling even in these close matchups that they probably should realistically be losing. So, credit where credit's due. Still hate them, but yeah. And the Jets' Corsi for percentage is 43%. So, I mean, by no means is Corsi like everything. I think it's a pretty good stat. I like it because it tells you a lot of how much a puck is on a team's stick. Obviously, you can still win the game if the puck is on your stick less, but it's certainly a lot fucking harder. But yeah, so just an interesting thing there.
I mean,
yeah.
I think a good way to summarize it is if you're talking shots plus blocks plus misses, that's just the sum of all shot attempts. So shot attempts for versus shot attempts against.
Mhm.
And that can be a good metric of how much you have the puck. A great example, or how to summarize this for the Sharks, is their Corsi against is 466. The league average is 458. So it's right on par there. The Corsi for, the total shot attempts for the Sharks, is at 374 compared to a league average of 470. So that tells you the problem right there, that they have 100 less shot attempts than the average, not even the best team in the league, but the average. Something tells me the Avs have a lot of shot attempts, and that helps their Corsi score.
They have 636.
There you go.
So, yeah, the Avalanche have definitely really adopted a shoot the puck mentality this year, even though it doesn't always feel like that. Sometimes it feels like they're just passing it around, but no, they are in fact shooting the puck quite often.
And good things happen when you shoot the puck.
Yes,
sometimes it takes time, but eventually the puck goes in.
Yes, it certainly does. Well, here's the next thing that's not to the Avalanche identity, and that's the... I'm sorry, everybody. I just shorted out there like a robot. That's the PK is operating at 90%. Yeah, this is all going to be negative, but you're wrong. It isn't a bad thing that this isn't a part of the team's identity, because it demonstrates positive growth in an area that the Avalanche have perhaps struggled in previously. But this PK is loaded with a lot more, like a potato, motherfuckers. It's loaded with a lot more killers this year who have been doing a fantastic job on any given night. Therefore, if the power play isn't going to work, you are at least not giving up any power play goals yourself. Of the 30 penalty kills the Avalanche have found themselves on, they only have given up 3 goals, and strangely, 2 of them have been against Utah. Evidently, don't go on the penalty kill against Utah if you're the Avalanche. The league average for PK percentage is a measly 78.68%. And really, it just comes down to the staff that they're putting out there and an intelligent style of kill. Most teams run either a box or diamond formation, and pay close attention when you're watching your next hockey game as a team starts to get backed in to defend, and look at what shape the 4 penalty killers make. Draw lines between the players. But the Avalanche PK has been malleable and adaptable to the situation on the ice. Players like Nichushkin, Parker Kelly, and Jack Drury are absolute defensive nightmares to the other team's man advantage. And players stepping in like Brock Nelson and the long reach of Brent Burns have helped immensely as well. Just wait until Logan O'Connor gets back here soon, windowed for early November. And the Avs will also start scoring shorties, which they have almost done a few times already. If the Avalanche can get both special teams clicking to this high of a degree, they will be a team to fear no matter how many men they have on the ice.
How early November are we talking? Because I don't want LOC to debut against the Sharks if possible. That doesn't sound good for my boys.
Well, you're very lucky because he's not. Him and Samuel Girard will be traveling with the team on this road trip, but they will not be playing. They will just be with the team. So I would say within the next week and a half, we'll see them. So you will get them here in late November when we go to the Sharks game together, unfortunately. But we'll have a quick discussion about LSC here, actually. So the biggest debate here is who does he kick out of the lineup, unfortunately, because I mean, you want Logan O'Connor in your lineup. He is an absolute dog out there on any given night. But I mean, you if you're the Avs, you have no complaints with this bottom six right now. You really don't. We'll talk about them more in a little bit, or we'll talk about them in a little bit more detail here in a little bit. But I mean, I can't point to anybody on the line and be like, yeah, that guy needs to go. Like last year, where there was definitely a few players that I was like, yeah, we can sit that guy. But I mean, man, this year's nobody's really drawn my ire, to be totally honest with you. I'm not like, man, this player needs to go. But if you had to ask me who I think they're going to take out, I unfortunately think it's going to be young Russian Zakhar Bardakov, simply because Brindley has been insane and he basically plays exactly like LOC, just, excuse me, a little younger, a little less experienced. But I mean, if he gets to be mentored by LOC, my God, that kid's going to be incredible. And then they'll just move Parker Kelly back to the center because first of all, you're not going to get rid of Parker Kelly. And so really the two that you would pick between are Gavin Brindley and Zakhar Bardakov. And so my odd man out is Zakhar Bardakov, but I suppose they could switch them out. Zakhar one game, Brindley another game, but we will see what they decide to do. There is thankfully really no wrong choice here, but you are going to get LOC back in the lineup regardless.
Yeah, and I mean, we've said it. I was indicating it, but even if they're not missing him right now, in the long run, they're going to be happy when he's back playing consistently.
100%. He is the mayor of Denver. The people here love him. There is a reason that Logan O'Connor's jersey is always sold the fuck out. Now, moving right along, though, to our identity, Marty Netch's shooting percentage is 31.8%.
Nice.
I'm just going to get this out of the way. This is not sustainable, but it sure is nice while it is here. But the reason it's to the identity is that the Avalanche always have players like Netchis every year who explode to this degree, and even when that shooting percentage cools off a little bit, they still remain elite. And even if the shooting percentage goes down, that doesn't mean Marty will be scoring any less. It just means he's putting more shot volume towards the net as the season goes along, which will naturally and mathematically bring that percentage down. For example, Nathan MacKinnon only has a shooting percentage of 18.9%, despite leading the team in goals. But that is because he has put up 49 shots on goal as compared to Netch's 22. But Marty has been an absolute shooter with the puck and leads all Avs skaters by a wide margin currently in shooting percentage. But this is also why we can see players with 100% shooting percentage, because if they come up for one NHL game, score on their first shot, then it's 100%. Also, for those wondering or need a refresher, shooting percentage is simply how many shots you get on the net under how many actually go in.
Yeah, and I actually have a stat for Macklin Celebrini about this for later that I won't spoil now, but what it can be is while, yes, that number is extremely high and it takes into account early in the season and there'll be some regression. I think of this stat as shooting percentage as goal scoring talent, really, because if it's a ratio, the number of goals versus the number of shots on goal. If you're a good goal scorer and you are good at picking your spots, you're going to have more in the net. And if we look at the stars, not the team, no, the star players across the league, they all would have a higher shooting percentage than other players on their team because they're better at picking their shots and putting the puck in the net. So, and that's why also I feel like those guys sometimes get paid more. So it's an interesting stat, but not a pointless one either.
No, never. No stat, I think, is ever truly pointless, as much as people want to argue like plus minus doesn't tell you anything. It does. Every stat will tell you something, but no stat can tell you everything. So you always need to be looking at them in context. You always need to have an understanding of how they're calculated, which is why I never try on this show to just throw around the fucking numbers and then never tell you what they actually mean. First of all, that makes me look like a dingus and like I don't actually know what I'm talking about, but I want everybody to be more educated and more aware of what we're talking about. So when we do bring it up in the future, everybody's like, yeah, I know what that is. He talked about that before. But in case anybody missed an episode where I did define it, I always make sure I'm keeping it fresh. And I don't think all of you are like me in thinking about the stats every single day. So it can be difficult in our day-to-day lives to remember, like, oh yeah, what the fuck was that Corsi thing again? So I got all of you.
I mean, you've taught me about Corsi now twice, so
Wow.
it's good for a reminder. I understand it better every time you explain it, but was never a stat prior to us recording the podcast first episode or first season that I never heard of before. So even those of us who watch the game are learning of new stats all the time. And you make a great point that no one stat can tell you everything, except for maybe number of cups won, and that tells you that you were on a great team. But the when you have all these stats combined together, you can have some predictive metrics to what makes a great team.
Exactly. Well, Dom, maybe you can teach me something. Dom, can you teach me about love?
I wish. I feel like we all figure that out ourselves, but the first key to love for everyone out there is love yourself. Just be yourself, do things you enjoy, be around people you enjoy. The right people will come to you in this life, be it friends that you love as a friend, family who are always there for you, or your lifetime partner. But I just encourage everyone to be kind to others, to love themselves, and not in an arrogant way, but to be confident of who you are as a person, so that then others can find that same appreciation in you. That is best my best advice I got for you. I'm still learning as we go here, though, folks. So don't come at me if it doesn't work for you.
Well, damn, I said it as a joke, and then you just made it super wholesome. Thank you, Dom. Anyway, moving along, not to the Avalanche's identity, a balanced lineup. The Avalanche have long been touted as a top-heavy team, and I have always done my best to defend that because I am a giga homer, but even I will admit that at times it certainly is true. The Florida Panthers have won back-to-back cups off the backs of impressively deep lineups, but the Devils game is an excellent example of something we've been seeing this season. That being, the top line is still going to dominate, and in the Devils game, including Cale Makar, they had 8 points. Even if you do factor out Cale Makar, they still had 3 of the 8 goals, in a total of 4 points. But the rest, 5 of the goals were scored by a mix of the lines. 2 fourth-line goals with Kelly and Bardakov getting his first NHL goal, not necessarily in that order, and the other 3 goals were all third-line contributions from Victor Olofsson, who had a hat trick and 5 points on the night, and somehow was still a -1. But then, outside the Devils game, the second line has been coming alive, led by the play of Valeri Nichushkin, who has awoken into the two-way monster everyone knows he can be. The Avs already have 5 players with 10 points or more through 11 games, and only 3 players, not counting the goaltenders, have not registered a point. And 2 of those 3 are injured. Even the call-ups are getting points this year, like Jack Ashawn. If the top line isn't getting it done, you can rely on someone else to do it. But the top line is still going to lead the way, as McKinnon does with already 17 fucking points. You also have defensive players who are having excellent bounce backs, especially Josh Manson and Sam Malinsky. When Manson is on, he's on, and he has genuinely looked fantastic both defensively and offensively, particularly when it comes to keeping the puck or helping keep the puck in to keep the cycle going. Malinsky always is having more asked of him, and he's delivering. The entire team is delivering top to bottom, and I cannot wait to see where it takes us. Also, I did figure out why Victor Olofsson was a -1. It has to do with how because here's why it didn't make sense, is because the Avalanche scored 8 and the Devils only scored 4. And if he had 5 points, and you know that you get a plus every time you're on the ice when your team scores, and you get a minus every time you're on the ice when your team doesn't score. It's like, even if he was on the ice for all 4 Devils goals, how is he at a -1? Well, it has to do with how the plus and minuses are awarded. A plus is awarded for anything positive, such as a goal or an assist at 5-on-5 or short-handed, but not if you score on a power play. But if you get scored on during the power play, that is a minus to you. Silly. But anyways, 2 of Olofsson's points were on the power, or 2 of his pluses were on the power, or no, points were on the power play, which left him with a +3 from his even strength points. And then he somehow was on the ice for all 4 Devils goals. That all results in a -1. Silly shit. But to wrap up this section here so we can get into Dom's section, because he has a lot of exciting stuff to talk about this week. To their identity is fighting back. Despite dropping their 4 overtime games, they were all games that the Avalanche were behind in and fought to come back. A quality that the team has always possessed. Those comebacks have not yet yielded us the results that we as fans want to see, but with this much grit and buckle down, it's coming. Even in the Bruins game, where it was a little too late, this team never gives in or simply lays down and loses. They truly push to win every single game. Even if their own mistakes put them in a negative situation or down, they always, at least so far, seek to correct and battle back. That has led to Netsch scoring an absolutely disgusting and identical game-tying goal from the goal line. I could go on forever and ever at this point, but it simply goes to show that the Avalanche are never out of any game. Even if they make you want to punch yourself in the face, the Avalanche simply do not go away in any matchup, and they have a no-quit attitude and are always focused on trying to win. For that, I cannot ask for more.
And that right there, that is grit, that is intensity, that is experience. That is what it takes to win games, what it takes to be a legitimate contender. And unfortunately, a problem that I've noticed the Sharks have. So we'll get there eventually, but really quickly, your Victor Olofsson note, and I know you were trying to move past it quickly just so I can have my time to share, but I have to say, this is the example of why the plus-minus stat needs an asterisk, because, first of all, I did not know, but this makes a lot more sense why plus-minus did not line up with my calculations, because that is beyond silly.
It is.
That power play goals against you count against you, but for you don't count. That's dumb. That's just an unbalanced stat.
Dumb.
Whatever it is,
but then
it should
if you
be
score
balanced.
shorthanded, it's a plus. It's so dumb.
It's so dumb in multiple ways, and I officially like the plus-minus stat less than when we started the evening. And for those of you who think it's stupid, you might have a new member of that club. But because the fact is Victor Olofsson, he had a hat trick in 5 points in a game. Like, for crying out loud.
I know.
What more could you ask a guy, especially on the third line, and then he gets a -1? It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate, and we didn't make the stats, and I don't know who did, but like, come on, at least have a balanced stat. Don't weight one side more than the other. Like,
no, I agree.
I think that's really what just comes down to, are stats weighted or not? Because if it's just a pure numbers game and there's no additional balance or shift to one side or the other, then that, in my opinion, just makes it a more pure stat and therefore a better stat. And that's my mathematical brain talking.
There are some stats that are weighted. Off the top of my head, I can't tell you what they are, but there are some stats that are weighted a certain way. So yes, you are correct in that regard. But I mean, yeah, it's silly. I mean, it sucks that he was on the ice for all 4 of the Devils' goals. I have no idea how that even happens, but it's like, dude should still walk away with a +1. He had 5 fucking points. Like, He may never replicate that performance again in his career. Let him have this. He's 30 years old on the third line. Like that's fucking insane. So yeah, it's dumb. But you know what? He's a +5 in all of our hearts, everybody. So we all know the truth. So it's okay. Yeah. Onto this little bit here. Macklin Celebrini is the next one. I will die on that hill. Before it was Crosby and Ovi. Now it's McKinnon and McDavid, perhaps McCarr and Matthews, but soon it will be Celebrini. He is the next superstar of this league. He will grow to be the face of not only his franchise, but of the NHL as a whole. He has talent running through every fiber of his jersey and every atom in his body. He is a perfect all-around hockey player and is only going to get better and more dominant. That's right, he can get more better than perfect. That's how good Macklin Celebrini is going to be and already is. I said it. It's on record. I believe it fully and wholeheartedly. I cannot wait to see what this kid is going to do when the Sharks are a competent hockey team. With that being said, it's time for In the Cauldron with Dom.
Well, thanks, Corey. And, I'm going to adjust the order because I also want to hype up Macklin Celebrini. So how about in this spooky season and this time of Halloween, how about I give you a quote from Elliot Friedman on the 32 Thoughts podcast this past Monday.
Reliable insider quote. You know, if he says it, it's usually a pretty high level compliment. All right. Or insult.
So you know what everybody in the league is saying?
What are they saying?
Please, God, don't let San Jose learn how to defend.
It's true.
And that sums it up because this team would be terrorizing the league on the back of Macklin Celebrini right now if it weren't for their defense and occasionally shaky goaltending. Because I was going to wrap up my segment with it tonight, but let's just jump straight to the Celebrini hype because you already set it up. He is the future face, the next face of the NHL. Bedard, this is Celebrini time. And maybe Bedard can be the counterpart, the number 2, the wingman, the Robin to Celebrini's Batman, if you will. Because I mean, no offense to Bedard, but Celebrini is him. He is the truth. He is what we all watch this sport for. He is a one-of-one player who is going to do some incredible things, and we've only scratched the surface. I mean, hell, Corey, he is only the 4th teenager in NHL history to have multiple 5-point games in the NHL, joining the great one, Wayne Gretzky, Brian Trottier, and Dale Hawerchuk as the only other Hawerchuk. Sorry, I looked up the pronunciation too, and I messed up there. But anyway, point being, he is one of only 4 teenagers in history to have done this. And not only that, he has set a San Jose Sharks franchise record for the fewest games required to reach 70 NHL points. He set that at his 77th game, surpassing Pat Falhoun, who previously reached that milestone at 95 games played back in 1992. So that record of fewest games to reach 70 NHL points has stood pretty much since the Sharks were a franchise. So he is the truth, the real deal, like I said. I mean, how about this? 16 points he has already. He's tied for 4th in the league, trailing only Jack Eichel at 19, Nick Schmaltz, and of course Nathan McKinnon, like you mentioned, Corey, at 17. Oh, and currently tied with Dylan Larkin, Nick Suzuki, and Evgeny Malkin. Which, if you've watched hockey before, if this isn't your first season watching hockey or listening to our podcast, those are probably names you've heard before because they're all pretty fucking good. But yeah, 16 points in 10 games means he is on pace for 131 points this season. I said he was going to get 100. 131. Let's go. He's logged 10 of those points in this past week of 4 games. I mean, Corey, I can just keep throwing out numbers here. because in the first 5 games of the season, he was relatively quiet with only 6 shots on goal. In the past 5 games, he has 22 shots on goal, scoring 5 goals and 11 points over that period. Moral of the story, the Sharks are shooting more, and most importantly, Macklin is shooting more. Yes, he likes to dish, and he is a complete player. He likes to set up his teammates, but he is showing that he is not afraid to fire the puck more and more, growing in confidence to be a true superstar. And like I said before, he's only scratching the surface, Corey. I'm going to pause here if you'd like to offer any more Celebrini hype.
Yes. For one, what the fuck's going on with Nick Schmaltz? Like every other name you mention, you're like, yeah. And then you're like, Nick Schmaltz. And you're like, huh? So just wanted to call that out. Like, what the fuck? For one, I think he's in pretty damn good company with some of the names that you threw out there. I mean, anytime you're compared to Wayne Gretzky in any category, it's usually a pretty good sign. And to be totally honest with you, he's going to break every record, at least offensive record that the Sharks have. Like, without a doubt in my mind. I truly believe that. And I mean, the Sharks have had some incredible players in their day. I mean, Patrick Marleau, Jumbo Joe Pavelski. So, I mean, you have had no shortage of like, and I'm sure you could name even more than I could, obviously, but you have had no shortage of incredible players that have made the Sharks roster who have never quite been able to take this team to the promised land. But I am very confident that Celebrini will lead this team to the promised land at some point. And like I said, he's about to shatter the ceiling on what it is to be a Shark. This kid is beyond legit. 131, probably not, but likelihood of 100? Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, and that's just the pace right now. Obviously, 10 points in 4 games, that's a lot and not going to be very sustainable. So it averages out at the end with the other stats I gave as well. But I mean, at least he's shooting more, and the signs point to, while it will regress some, that he should be able to meet that 100-point season as long as he stays healthy. And man, he just looks electric out there. I mean, he really does. And I think it's helping lift the whole team too, because I mean, I set up this just stat session. I don't have a good name for it. So if you have an S word that goes with stats that I can say in a fun voice, Corey, please let me know now.
I'll think on it for a second. Give me just a second here. My brain no working. Well, let's see. What's something like Halloween related? Well, I guess you could say spooky stats.
Yeah, there we go. So it's time for some more spooky Shark stats. And spooky, yeah, I mean, it was okay. I'm not great at the voices like you are, but spooky is the Sharks power play actually kind of good?
It's really good. Better than
we're ranked 10th in the league with a 24.3% success rate on the man advantage. Of course, the penalty kill has been abysmal and is at like a literal 2 out of 3, right? So they are at 66.7% exactly. So every third power play that the Sharks give up, they're allowing a goal. That's bad. But hey, the power play for us, the offense, is actually scoring. That was a bit of a problem last year. So spooky, kind of a surprise. When you were talking identity crisis, this is a good identity crisis for the Sharks. And again, it helps that Smith and Eklund and Celebrini are just firing the puck at will when they get it on their stick. And that is what we want to see.
Why are they firing the puck at Will Smith? That's so rude.
Oh, brother.
Well, because Sharky paid him off too after he got fired in the face by that soccer ball last season at Will Smith's beckoning. But in all seriousness,
boo me at that one. But yeah, carry on.
No, I got you. I got to make up for my own falters earlier with having some swift comebacks. But no, but seriously, the Sharks are also 15th in the league in goals. So right at league average with 32 goals scored this season and 11th in assists at 58. So this is a great sign of growth and improved connection across the team within Coach Warsofsky's system that even as they're developing more of that shoot first mentality, they're still setting up and having a ton of good, effective passing that gets these goals. So, really, really great to see that balance. Of course, again, on the converse or on the inverse, whatever, on the opposite side of the spectrum, they are last in goals against, Corey, allowing a whopping 46 goals in the first 10 games of the season.
That's a few.
So when you said, yeah, these are the shitty stats section of the spooky stats, because Askarov has a 4.69 goals against average and only an 844 save percentage.
Whoa. Oh, the poor kid.
And he has not been playing that bad. Those are not all on him. Yes, there have been some tough games. Some of them have been on him. I'm not saying they haven't been. It is not a pretty stat. I'm not happy about it. But, I mean, some of the goals that went by him, I'll talk about it here, where he didn't even see them. Like, he couldn't see them. It was floating above his head because it took an odd bounce. And anyway. Nedeljkovic as well, just really quickly, is better, but not much better. He has an even four goals against average and an 875 save percentage while playing in 2 fewer games. He has looked the worst of the two, honestly, and yet somehow has the better stats. So that just tells you that stats can't tell you everything, folks. But moral of the story, the Sharks give up way too many goals. And that's why, going back to where I started, if they can get a defense, Elliot Friedman is correct. This team is going to be amazing. How we get a defense, I don't know, but I'll be here waiting and hoping that's what I can unwrap under the Christmas tree, since, all the stores want to talk Christmas already. Might as well throw that reference in there. But back to a positive stat is something important is the Sharks are generally shooting the puck more effectively. And like I said, with the passing, while we said, what was it, 100 less shot attempts roughly than the league average. However, their shooting percentage is up. They currently rank 8th in the league at 12.45%, meaning they would score over 12 goals for every 100 shots taken that reached the net. So what that means to me is, if the Sharks can get the puck on the net more often, they're going to keep scoring because they're setting up good opportunities, good passes sure, there's blocks, but and possession is an issue. Our defense is an issue. There's so many issues, and I don't want to perseverate on it too much, but there are signs of life and a lot of offensive signs that this is the rebuild we're targeting. This is the talent that you can only get by being awful and drafting it well and being in a good position to draft talent. You can't teach talent. And I mean, sure, defense requires talent as well, but it's also a system and about fundamentals. And so in some sense, getting the Sharks goals against down is easier than getting their goals for up. And compared to last, they are on course to keep having goals above average, above league average. And so that's one part of the rebuild looking much, much better than it was just a season ago.
Yeah. I think really my question from all of that is, just from your perspective, what do you think the problem with the defense is? Because I mean, Mike Greer goes out, he picks up these veteran defensemen like, oh my God, why is his name just gone from my system all of a sudden? Quick.
Orlov.
Yeah, that's the motherfucker. Fucking
Leddy.
Dmitry Orlov,
Klingberg.
Nick Leddy, John Klingberg. All these guys, and, they're intermixed with young rookies who don't have the experience like Dickinson and such as that. So, I mean, I can definitely understand why certain pairs out there might be getting cooked a little more. So do you think it's just due to the inexperience of the youth? Do you think it's due to the age of the veterans? Do you think it's a combination of the two things? Like, what do you think the problem is for the defense really is?
I think it's sloppy play and transition. I first of all, I think I'm going to pull out some metaphors here because that's the best way I can understand it and process it. Firstly, the the Sharks are going to be like the Dallas Cowboys. All offense and no defense. They have to win in high scoring games because that's the only way they're going to win. So that's just the moral of the story of what the Sharks are this season. What's the problem with the defense, or what can they fix? I then turn to basketball. It's the turnovers and being out of position from the start. It's the sloppy line changes, not either reading their timing to get off the ice fast enough, not having forwards cycle back to fill in the empty space. Like Celebrini is incredibly quick and is better as a back checking forward, but that maybe is a weakness from their forwards, so it can't all be credited to the defense. Sloppy passing in their zone clears, not necessarily getting their head up and looking to wait a second, find the pass to a man rather than just sending it to a patch of ice where it can easily be turned over, so that then they're on their heels trying to play catch up in their own zone. I feel like across their defensemen, veteran and youth, they've looked a little slow. And that's obviously a problem with speed becoming more and more important in the league, when you got a guy like Makar who can just charge up at you when you don't expect it, or McKinnon or McDavid, all these super, super fast, or Natchez even, these super fast, talented players, they can blow right by our defensemen right now. And so, I don't know exactly. I think our defense improved its size and we're more physical. We can be more of a presence in front of our own net. We can help clear a little bit better, but maybe a little bit less finesse, less speed. So it's harder to get into lanes or be the most effective in that way. Also, as far as our goaltenders are, when you have big defensemen, the downside is they can screen their own goaltenders. So that's the pro and con of having a large defenseman, such as Desharnais, for example. So I guess that those are some of the issues I see, but at the root of it all, I think it's really transitions. It's the turnovers, it's the line changes where they've allowed those quick rushes and those sloppy goals.
No, we've done
And
it
I'm not
so
sure if I
good. Yeah, we made it a whole hour. Or did you actually like stop after you said sloppy goals?
I actually paused after sloppy goals for you.
Well then no, I'm sorry. It sounded like you were gonna keep going there. My bad. No, San Jose, hire this man as your defensive coach. He knows what to do. But I mean, what you said makes perfect sense. So I think it's just one of those things that has to be learned and worked on in time. And I know they'll get there at some point. And I mean, things are starting to click on the offensive side. This team is really great. So excuse me, once they get the rest figured out, which is definitely not something that happens all at once, they are going to be very scary. So for now, everybody continue to enjoy your easy ass whoopings of the Sharks, because it will not be the case for too much longer. Because it's not the case for the Blackhawks anymore. And I fucking took them for granted. I was like, oh yeah, Blackhawks easy win. No, it is not.
I mean, shit, the Tampa Bay Lightning are an easier team to beat by far than the Blackhawks. And I'm not here trying to flame the Lightning. Oh, by the way, also the Flames.
Yeah, flame the Flames.
We can flame the Flames. Yeah. But I guess the final thing for the defense while we're on this topic is, and again, I think it comes back to the forwards or positioning. I don't know the exact answer. I'm not a hockey coach, right? But if your defensemen are closing out to the boards and it's at the dot or above, there is a vulnerable weak spot on that side in that corner by the net. And if a forward is not adept or paying enough attention to fill in that space and allow the defenseman to get back, just by time, just holding up the puck in the corner, you start a cycle where your defensemen are out of position and chasing the play. And so, again, that's part of it with the transitions. I feel like we're not necessarily picking up the right guys. And so we're leaving vulnerable to matchups in that sense. So that's just my final thought on the matter. And thankfully, we're not an easy out most games, although some teams have truly butt whooped us, as I can attest to with one of the games I'll speak about from the past week. But in general, all of the other games, Corey, 1-goal games, and the Sharks won 2 of them. So we're not just on the board with a win. We've got 2. Of course, none of them are at home, so the Sharks are struggling to play in the tank for myself and all the other Sharks fans out there. So that's unfortunate.
You mean in the
I guess you're right. In the cauldron. Apparently there's something going on in there because the brew, the stew, whatever's in that cauldron ain't working for the Sharks because they can't seem to get a win in there. But we'll get one here at some point, I believe. Maybe, who knows? Maybe the Avalanche, who love to give first to teams. I remember you saying that last season. Maybe they'll give their Sharks their first home win.
No. Listen, I love you guys, but no. Do you play tomorrow? Hold on. Yeah, you play tomorrow at home against the Devils. Oh my fucking God. Oh, why did
well, the Devils are the one who made us look like shit this week. So you know what? I'm just gonna go out of order.
It's revenge time. You're gonna get them.
All right. Well, here we go. We're skipping to game number 2, the second half of a back-to-back, October 24th at the New Jersey Devils. And the Sharks started this game well, and I did have written here well once again, and that'll make more sense later. But they did not have the goal-scoring magic of the previous game that I will talk about later. But not to get ahead of ourselves, the positive was that the Sharks got an early first-period power play, and Eklund was able to score off a bit of a broken passing play, actually, that got Devils goaltender Jake Allen on the move within his crease and opened up some shooting lanes. But really the moral of the story from the game against the Devils is Askarov played phenomenal. Like, all of the bad stats I told you earlier, throw them out the window because Askarov made some incredible saves in this game, including some stone cold robberies in the first period, like some full-blown Bonnie and Clyde style robberies this man was making, just murdering the hopes and dreams of the Devils offense. Because, I mean, Corey, did you see the one I'm thinking of on Nico Hischier that should have been like the save of the week?
I don't think I caught any of this game, so unfortunately, no, I did not.
Okay, I'll have to send it to you later, and maybe we'll...
Yes, agreed. No! We made it so long.
Right across.
Okay, wait. Jesus fuck Lord. We made it an hour and 12 minutes today, Dom, before we actually lost connection. I'll take that as a victory. So rewind back to our discussion. Didn't see Nico Hischier save. Start from there. Go.
All right. Well, I'll have to send you the video and we can possibly link it in the description, but just picture Askarov on the far right post.
It does not want you to say this, evidently. Discord does not want you to talk about this.
Save. Wide open net.
Discord doesn't want you to say this. I don't know why. It's just like every time you start going, it's like, no, you may not speak.
Alrighty. Well, this Discord has spoken. So, point is, Askarov robbed Hischier. He robbed multiple people in this game.
Great.
Had some of the best saves of the week. And I'll send you the video, and maybe we'll post it in the description so everyone can see.
Okay, excellent. Love that.
Also, another problem in this game. We talked about the Sharks offense and how great it is. Well, they did not register, Corey, a single shot on goal in the entire second period.
Oh, no. That usually doesn't lead to winning.
No, it doesn't. And yet they still could have won this game, funnily enough, crazy enough, because of Askarov. Because technically they didn't score, but they also did score a goal in the middle of the second period. It was a stretch pass, rush play, but Wenberg was ruled offside after a Devils challenge. And to me, it looked like he was pretty clearly offside. There was something about continuous motion and like his stick was on the blue line with the puck, but his feet were like 2-3 feet past the line. So I can't believe it was even allowed as a goal in the first place. So overturned. So no shot, no goal in the second period for the Sharks. But basically, to summarize, the second period was ruled by Askarov and net, who could only be beaten by the wily veteran Dougie Hamilton. And because that was Hamilton who scored twice in the second period, both goals coming on the power play. And of course, because the Sharks' penalty kill is so wonderful and allowed 2 goals already on the power play, they decided it was a good idea to give New Jersey an extended 5-on-3 later in the second period for over a minute of 5-on-3 and another minute of 5-on-4 on either end. And somehow, after failing to kill off the other power plays and just letting Dougie Hamilton score at will, they managed to kill off the 5-on-3 and get to second intermission, only 1 goal down thanks to Askarov. So I know he hasn't been perfect. He's a rookie. He's growing. I just side tangent. Really happy that Warsofsky finally just put him in net. He started like 3 straight games, so that was overdue. We've been seeing Ned a lot, and so letting Askarov play multiple games and try to get into a rhythm, I'm like, thank fuck, finally. So even though it's not been pretty, it's the only way it's going to get better is by getting him into a groove. But Corey, unfortunately, where was I? Going back a little bit, they did not register a shot on goal the entire second period. So at the end of the first period, it was 7 shots on goal. At the end of the second period, it was 7 shots on goal. And in the third period, they finished with a total of 17 shots on goal. So they did get 10 shots on goal in the third period. However, it really wasn't consistent. They had like a minute of good play around the midway point, about 10, 11 minute mark where they got a couple chances. But realistically, they didn't look like a legitimate chance of scoring until 4 minutes remaining, when Graf this time was actually able to time the stretch pass, stay on side to be in on net all alone. But Jake Allen, again, the netminder for the Devils, was able to make the glove save. So New Jersey retained the lead. But that's the thing here. Similar to the heartbreaking fashion that the Sharks have managed to lose games, Askarov just stood on his head and kept them in this game where at 4 minutes to go, they were just inches from tying it. So, that's a small positive from this. And they did have sustained offensive zone pressure in those final 4 minutes where you could tell New Jersey was just starting to turtle, trying to run out the clock a little bit. And then eventually we pulled Askarov, and gotta say, credit to the Devils. They absolutely sold out on their blocks to help their tendy and eventually notched an empty net goal to seal the game 3-1 as the final score. Some important stats, because we're on a stats emphasis tonight. Celebrini and Eklund were the only Sharks to log a point in the game. So Eklund scored, and Celebrini was credited as the only assist on that power play goal in the first. Askarov, though, seriously, incredible. 26 saves on 28 shots faced, and I feel like it should count as more shots faced than saved, because there were at least 3 goals that he stole, Corey. Like this they should have lost this game like 5-1. They really should have. So the fact that they lost it 3-1 and had chances to tie it up late, in some small way, that's a victory, because when the offense was letting them down, their goaltender actually stepped up. But 17 shots on goal as a team in a game, 20 plus minutes of not getting a single shot on goal. You said it, Corey, before, and I'll say it again. Not a recipe for success.
No. But I mean, taking the positives away, even without registering a single shot in the second period, the fact that you were able to hang, really, with, like I keep saying, the best team in the NHL right now, that's something to be admired. Even though they couldn't generate the offense like they normally do, it feels like usually they're generating that offense at the cost of their defense. So, I mean, all the credit to Askey, who was clearly feeling it in this game. And again, it's just all looking at, yeah, we lost, but we hung in with the Devils, who, beat the Avalanche not too long ago. So, I mean, by all means, they're a great team, although those things are not always linear. But, I mean, undeniably, Devils are a good team this season. So the fact that the Sharks were in it, that's great.
Yeah, and despite the concerns with Askarov and the maybe underwhelming performance, this showed his ceiling of what he can be. This showed what, in the long term, the Sharks need him to be, traded for him because of this potential. It's just a matter of unlocking that with consistency. And I think that just takes more playing time and, yes, a little bit of help in front of him. I think the Sharks did play physical in this game against the Devils and get them out of their rhythm a little bit. But ultimately, like I said, you said it actually, he was feeling himself and he made some ungodly saves. Like I mean, you want to talk about monsters? I don't know how many times we said monster. He was a monster in net in that game. Just mashing up the hopes and dreams of the Devils. But anyway, final score 3-1. Sharks lose in New Jersey on the second leg of a back-to-back. But let's rewind because
why is everybody
the
playing
Sharks
New
got
Jersey
a
on
win.
a back-to-back? What the fuck? Sorry, why is New Jersey the back-to-back opponent for people?
Because the Gary Bettman wasn't sure if they were going to bounce back and be really good this year, so he just wanted to give them a leg up as the season goes on. Conspiracy theories, we're here for it, folks. But seriously, backing up one night at Madison Square Garden, playing the New York Rangers, who, Corey, you said have been really bad at home and struggling to score goals. Well,
I was gonna say
there were 11 goals.
You know, the Rangers are a lot like the Sharks. They also suck at home.
Yeah. No shortage of goals in this one either because, well, like I said, 11 total goals. And I'm happy. We got the OT victory. It's 6-5. So there you go. We're just going to skip to the end right there and tell you that much, all of you listening, because it was almost a week ago. So I'm sure you probably, hopefully, already know by now. But to go through the details, the Sharks got off to a quick start in this one, and that has been a bit of a pattern in the past week. They scored early against the Devils. They scored multiple times early against the Rangers. And in the third game, that has a lot of parallels to this game against the Rangers, they also scored early. So another piece of progress. We might not be great in the third period and sometimes just have the worst second period slumps ever. But we are more consistently than not starting games well and being the team to score first in a game. And that just helps. Playing with a lead or at least not playing behind helps a young team be able to get into their groove. Wouldn't you agree, Corey?
Yes.
Awesome. So anyway, in this one against the Rangers, maybe I lost your audio, but since you just said yes, I was like, perfect.
That's all I
wanted. So a lot of continuous pressure. The Rangers barely touched the puck in the first 2 minutes, so it seemed a bit inevitable that the Sharks would score. And it was Adam Gaudette who got the goal off a perfect feed from Colin Graff behind the net. So one of those ones that I've talked about the Sharks making that mistake of allowing the puck just to squirt right in front of their net into the slot to a player all by themselves. Well, this time we did it the right way in our favor. So props to Colin Graff and Adam Gaudette on that play. Sorry. And, getting the Sharks an early 1-0 lead, which apparently Reeves was, not Reeves. Reeves is on our team. Rempe, the fucker, was unhappy about. So a few short minutes later, he was dropping the gloves with Reeves. And actually, this is because Reeves laid a good clean hit in the open ice and caught a guy who wasn't looking fully at him. So clean, just square to the chest. Nothing dirty about the hit, but Rempe didn't like it, and he wanted to go for round 2 after he and Reeves fought while Reeves was playing for Toronto last season. But really not the most exciting fight. Both guys took a couple punches, threw a couple punches. They actually both knocked off each other's helmets, which I don't know how hard that is to do these days. But it eventually kind of ended with Rempe pulling Reeves' shirt over his head so you couldn't see his face, so he looked like the Headless Horseman. Hey, another Halloween reference here, folks. And it also ended with like Rempe on his back on the ice, so it was just a weird slip and fall moment, but I'm pretty sure he's been out or day-to-day since then with an upper body injury. So really, I mentioned this fight more so because I think falling or that awkward end to the scuffle, it seemed to result in some form of strain for Rempe in his shoulder, or something, collarbone. I don't know what it was exactly, Corey. That's the one thing about the NHL. They just say upper body or lower body. They never really get too specific.
I just know he got punched in the face a lot, and then they said he was injured. I mean, Revo kind of owned him. I did see the fight, and I mean, Revo with the experience, but I mean, he kind of beat his ass.
Yeah, it wasn't maybe as dominant because Rempe's just so big. Revo couldn't take him down to the ice, but it is a good point. Revo did land some clean ones. I think that, to be fair, they both landed at least one clean shot because both had a one punch that knocked off the helmet. So you'd have to land with some force in the right spot to pop that loose. But anyways, moving right along, so I don't take forever here. Completely unrelated penalty, just like 10 seconds later. The Sharks scored then 6 seconds into a power play. So let's add 15 seconds to that fight. Boom, puck in the net. A powerful shot from Eklund that was blocked in front. The rebound bounced around actually and eventually reached Celebrini and must have went off of his stick. Like he pushed it back forward and it was redirected again because Celebrini was credited with the goal, but the play was started by Eklund. This puck redirected so many times. So on the initial shot, there was a broken stick. And by the time Celebrini was like putting it back towards the goal, it hit off of a piece of that broken stick that had still not hit the ice and was midair. So, Corey, I think this meets the qualifications of a because I'll have to find you the video.
You might need to lean back from your mic, then say goober goal. Try again.
Oh, I'm sorry, Corey. It met the qualifications of a goober goal.
There it is. There it is.
Yay.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to use the official microphone, y'all. So thanks for being patient with my technical and more accurately human difficulties.
Brother, I can't even use the microphone right, and we've been doing this for over a year. It's okay.
Well, thanks, man. But anyways, I'll have to send you the video, Corey, if you haven't seen it. But the fact that it broke a stick, bounced around 3 times, went off a Celebrini stick, and then off of the same broken stick again. Like I feel like this is such a unique situation that I can't fault the goaltender, and gotta say it had Goober-esque vibes. But anyway, I've spent enough time on that one because Celebrini scored again. And this was just before the end of the period. Literally 9 seconds remaining to give the Sharks a 3-1 lead at intermission. Taylor Radish kind of had a great game for New York as well. So that was his first goal. I don't really want to talk about it. But what matters here about Celebrini's goal is it was the awareness. Knowing the clock was running down, getting the puck, getting himself to a patch of ice while there was a mid-change going on for the team with the defenseman, and just turning and firing, just a turn and shoot moment, picking his spot, going top shelf. It's that awareness, that hockey sense that is another element that makes him so good, Corey, like so good. Like watching this kid play, he is a magician out there. Like, you're a wizard, Harry. Like that is what Celebrini is to this franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I forgot to mention in this strong first period of the game, they also had 2 penalty kills. So during that first period, despite the penalty kill struggles, they were able to do so effectively in the first. But much like the Devils game, the second period was not very good, and the Sharks allowed goals in basically every situation, or at least every normal situation. First, a power play goal from Mika Zibanejad. Then it was Juuso Parssinen scoring at 5-on-5 after a turnover at the Sharks blue line, which it also didn't help that Alex Wennberg had his stick broken simultaneously at a different spot in the play. So the Rangers basically had an odd man rush. And, got to give credit where credit's due. Parssinen pulled Nedeljkovic far enough out of the net and just juked him out kind of, really. I don't know what better way to say it. It wasn't a deke with his stick, so he just kind of used a head fake and pulled him far enough out of the net and just went around him. So super easy goal for Parssinen at the end, just pressing the puck over the line. But sweet move beforehand. And then finally, it was Taylor Radish once again, this time scoring shorthanded after Celebrini lost the puck at the Rangers blue line. So they allowed goals on the power play, the penalty kill, and at 5-on-5 to the Rangers in the second period. It wasn't a good period. And on the shorthanded goal, Celebrini just wasn't able to handle the puck as it came back to the blue line, lost it, was a step behind, and the Rangers were able to jump in as a 2-on-1. It happens. We've seen this before. This is what the 4 forwards, 1 defense, the dangers of doing that on a power play, the risk you take by trying to load up on offense. But this one I blame on the goaltender. He had clear sight lines, and Radish went shoot. The pass was blocked. That's really what any goaltender would ask the defenseman to do, is cover the pass, let me take the shot, right? And he couldn't save it. I maybe chalk it up to he was just frozen by a head fake of the pass from Radish, but I mean, I don't know. Top shelf, glove side, like flash the glove, Ned, please. That is when we're counting on you to make the save. This isn't an insane, crazy, big deal save. Like, just make the save. You are 1-on-1. He's coming straight at you. You should be squared up. Why can't you just make the glove save? So that was frustrating. So those 3 goals in a row brought the Rangers to have actually a 4-3 lead at that point in the game. But the Sharks, before the end of the second period, did even up the score at 4 apiece because Celebrini is just, I said it before, he's amazing. He's a magician. He made it a hat trick, scoring in the final seconds of the period once again with the awareness, Corey, of just where the time was on the clock and where he was on the ice, this time with only 6 seconds left in the period. So he was like, how about for my 3rd goal of the game, I do it with 3 less seconds on the clock? Sound good? Okay. This was the Celebrini breakout game of the season so far. It's not like he needed to break out. Everybody knows he's the superstar, but finishing with 5 points on the night and only his 2nd career hat trick feels like, it was his best game of the season, but it feels like it was only up from here.
Yeah. I mean, the kid is already in his sophomore season, I think, on another level. I think training with Nate and Sidney Crosby in the offseason was certainly a factor in that, but it just feels like it's only on the up and up for him from here. And I mean, he's smiling all the time, so he doesn't feel down on himself. He doesn't feel in a rut. He is just, even when the Sharks are losing, he's having a great time out there.
Well, and that's something important, is he does have his frustrations. You can see the emotion in that want to win, that bit of a Nate McKinnon, where there's just that I don't want to say anger, but that channeled raw frustration.
Good players want to win. Great players want to win. At the end of the day, I think in their minds, it's like, why else are you playing the fucking game if you're not playing to win?
Right. And he's, I guess, being a little bit more composed with that, less whiny, and just more channeling that frustration into, all right, I'm going to get out there, be physical, and win this puck back. I'm going to go win a puck battle and make something happen. So channeling that energy and that intensity in the right way. And yeah, he's still smiling, but you can see he's able to show, he's able to be serious when he needs to be. He is able to lead out there. He is taking this opportunity to say, maybe I didn't need the C this season, but you better be putting that captain C on my chest next year. That's what it feels like he's doing. And with the sophomore year, Corey, as you know, it's a thing with players. You either jump or you slump. And it's really not much ever in between. And he's already made it clear it's going to be a jump, leading the Sharks once again in points already this early in the season.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But to wrap up in the 3rd period, the Sharks did have some dangerous chances, including a shot off the post from Toffoli while the net was wide open, as well as a 5-on-3 power play. And the power play was not their best power play. I've been talking about how good their power play is. This one wasn't that good, but it did bear fruit, however, as Will Smith scored to give the Sharks a lead at 5-4 just after the 2nd penalty expired. So it's credited as a 5-on-5 goal, but the Rangers player who was in the box, I didn't catch who it was for the 2nd one. He wasn't really back in the play in time. So it was effectively a power play goal. But the Rangers were not done. And after watching Celebrini net a hat trick, Taylor Radish decided to register one of his own, beating Nedeljkovic high glove side again to tie the game back up. So top shelf glove side twice the same shooter, the same goaltender. Ned, what is going?
See, the game or the game, fucking, I can't think. Discord does not want you to talk about the goaltenders. Every time you go to talk about the goaltenders is when it cuts out. I swear to God. You went, Ned, what the? And then it just dies. No Ned slander in here, I guess.
I guess the universe, the microphones, and Discord also don't want to hear me bitch and moan about the goaltenders because you know what? All of them are right. This is a very positive week in the Sharks land. Land, tank, cauldron, whatever the word is. I don't know why I said land, but point is, it's concerning to me when you have a pattern where in the same game you can get beat the same way by the same player twice. I think if I'm a competitor, it's like, okay, if you're gonna beat me, but you're not gonna beat me the same way twice.
Yeah,
And that's yeah.
It to me shows that you're not learning from your mistakes. And I mean, when you see players miss on a shot or they execute a play poorly, they're always back at the bench fucking looking at that iPad. And I know that's easier said than done for a goaltender, but I mean, you have to realize, okay, well, they know to shoot on me on that side because it went in. So I need to be more aware. I need to be more ready for that to come at me again. Because if it worked once, they're going to try it again. And so, yeah, just another step up required from Ned there.
Yeah, just faster and more decisive with the glove hand, I think, is what it comes down to there. But I hope it improves. He's had 3 straight games off to think about it because he has not played since this game against the Rangers. But with that being said, it was tied 5-5. Corey, let's go to overtime. And folks, we've said it before, I'll say it again. The Sharks are winless no more because after the Rangers looked to recover the puck off a missed shot, Celebrini picked it up from the corner on what looked to be like a drop pass. And so instead of, possession is huge in 3-on-3 hockey. And instead of the Rangers being able to turn it up ice, Celebrini just picks it up out of the corner, throws it across to the waiting Will Smith. And there was no Rangers jersey to be seen within 10 feet of him. So he was able to pick his spot and fire it home. Great cross ice pass from Celebrini, pulling in all 3 of the Rangers players in like a triangle formation. So, and how about this? Will Smith, his second goal of the game there. He was also the one who scored in the 3rd period. So key stats from the game. I already told you 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points on 5 shots for Celebrini. How about Will Smith though? 4 points. So 2 goals, 2 assists on 2 shots on goal. So both of his shots that reached the net for Will Smith went in. So kid's got a lot of talent, and I don't think it hurts that he is in the shadow of Celebrini. Because one, they're great friends and they play off each other super well. So when the morale's up and they're there playing with each other, it's just good for everyone. But I feel like there's also less pressure on Will because all of the attention is on Macklin. So he can just go out there and cook without the same degree of expectation.
Yeah, and I mean, I think any superstar player needs a superstar teammate to really make that successful top line. I mean, McDavid has Draisaitl, fucking Matthews had Marner. McKinnon had Brandon, and now he has Natchez. And I mean, you can just go fucking on and on and on with the different teams naming these dynamic duos. Ovechkin had Backstrom. So I think you always need the yin to the yang here, the A to the B. And that's what Will Smith is. He's not any less talented per se, but that's where he's meant to be.
Yeah, and I hope because they are such good friends and they play so well together that, yes, the cap's going to keep going up. The contracts are going to keep getting expensive. I do hope this is something where they're both lifetime Sharks. I know there's absolutely no way we'd ever, like, knocking on wood here just because don't do this to me, universe, but ever let Celebrini leave this franchise. He is he is the crown jewel of the entire history of the San Jose Sharks. But if them playing together and being actually such close friends means that we can get both at a slight, just like the tiniest hometown discount to keep the team good and competitive in the long term, little things thinking way down the line, but those chemistry and that legitimate and genuine friendship and that duo, that dynamic duo tag team, I'm hoping that it has that benefit down the line as well, where they would rather play together than get a little bit more money. But also, shout out, let's call it third star for the Sharks in this game would be Eklund with 3 assists on 4 shots. Actually, he is second on the team. So after getting that contract extension signed, he is actually on a point per game basis, Eklund, with 10 points in 10 games. With Smith and Orlov not far behind, 9 points and 8 points scored on the season, respectively, for those two. So Eklund, technically the number 2 Shark this year, and he's been living up and proving why they gave him that contract. So really great to see.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna jump forward. We've been moving all over the place with time in the Cauldron tonight. It doesn't follow the same linear rules of the timeline.
We don't got rules here at the Captain Avalanche Fancast.
You're right. Time is a construct. But there are a lot of parallels to the October 26th game at the Minnesota Wild that can be compared to the New York Ranger game that the Sharks won. First off, a 6-5 overtime victory. So let's just get the obvious out of the way. But in all seriousness, the Sharks got off to another quick start in the first period with an early power play goal from William Eklund. This time, this was his game to do more of the scoring off assists from Celebrini and Orlov. Look at all those names, those point scorers I mentioned. And then it was Michael Misa scoring his first career NHL goal. Congratulations to Michael Misa. And it might not have been the prettiest, but what was he doing? He was in the right space at the right time, doing what you're supposed to do, crashing the net and cleaning up the garbage at the far post after the puck slid through the crease. The play was created off a lazy turnover, really, from Kaprizov, who just kind of lofted it and just sent it, not with much force, up the middle of the ice. So Liljegren was able to pick it off at the blue line, and he proceeded to drive the net. So credit to Liljegren for creating the play that gave Michael Misa his first career goal.
Yeah, love to see it for the kid. But you're right. Sometimes you just got to be there to clean up the garbage, and that's exactly what he did. So even though it wasn't a flashy one, he got the goal, and that's always something to be proud of.
And that's what matters. It's just the fundamentals and being in the right place. And we're seeing more and more he does have this hockey IQ. He is good at skating without the puck. And so the more time he gets to play, the more he's going to develop. And I mean, we're how do you decide what's your top line? I mean, obviously Celebrini's your top line, but I mean, this Misa kid, he has a high ceiling, and there's a lot of positives we've seen. Even if this goal isn't as flashy, he's had a lot of shots this past week. He's been more aggressive with his play, and I think that's a good thing to see his confidence building. And perhaps this goal helped him. So he's got that one out of the way. So now he's just free to go out there. There's no pressure to get that first one. He can just go play. So always a good thing. I know I started by comparing this to the Rangers game, though, and unlike the Rangers game, the Wild did not wait for the second period to make their pushback, because a couple of minutes after the Misa goal, it was Marcus Johansson notching a power play goal off a shot pass from Rossi. So it just went kind of through the crease to the far post, and Johansson was there to put it home. I think it either went off his like his shin guard or his the blade of his not the blade, sorry, the shaft of his stick. Unclear the way it redirected on the footage I saw, but either way, it went from bad to worse for the Sharks when Rossi logged a goal of his own just 30 seconds later, when a broken play, well, like I was talking about earlier, had the Sharks defense out of position, like I was talking about earlier, and Askarov stuck dealing with a 2-on-1 and not squared up to the play. So many little ugly mistakes by the goaltender, by the defense, by the offense, or I should say the forwards with the turnover. It was, I mean, everyone is at fault for this goal as far as I'm concerned. All 6 Sharks on the ice were at fault here. But keeping with the unlike the Rangers game, the Sharks were the victors of the second period. So they did their slump earlier in the first period, and then they could take the W in the second because they scored 2 goals, Corey, in 19 seconds. The first one being Will Eklund getting his second goal of the night, and followed up by Ryan Reeves with his second goal of the season. Corey, another quick stat check. Do you know some players who have the same number of goals as Ryan Reeves this year?
Wasn't Connor McDavid on the list at one point?
If we had recorded this 3 days ago, Ryan Reeves would have actually had more goals than Connor McDavid, and now he has less because McDavid's that guy.
But he is.
Despite being tied with Celebrini for 4th in the league in points, Nick Suzuki has the same number of goals as Ryan Reeves. Mark Stone, Mitch Marner, Mikhail Sergachev, right? Lucas Raymond for Detroit, who had a great season last year, although he's missed a couple of games due to injury. How about Matt Barzell? Alex Ovechkin has the same number of goals. So a lot of big-time names who Ryan Reeves, who would have thought, would have the same number of goals, I mean, as Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. Imagine saying that 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Revo for Rocket.
Yeah. So anyway, obviously this is not going to be sustainable. We don't expect Reeves to score a bunch of goals, but hey, I'm just saying he's got 2 goals. That's more than a lot of people in the league. So we'll take it. Being in the right place at the right time. That goal was basically the same to the one I described from Rossi to Johansson, where it just went off of a leg. This time Ryan Reeves' leg, just being in the right place at the far post for the redirect. So where do we start? Well, the first period, they started great, slumped earlier. They slumped late in the first period, so slumped earlier than the second. The second period was back and forth, but they scored the goals, so they enter second intermission with a 4-2 lead. So Corey, because this game went to overtime, that means the third period was very sloppy once again. Like sloppier than a sloppy Joe, because they allowed 3 goals. And it was a back and forth period. They just were not scoring as nearly as much as the Wild were, because first it was Hartman scoring a power play goal at 4:28 in the period to make it 4-3. Then it was Toffoli who regained the Sharks' 2-goal lead with a power play goal of his own at close to right when a power play was expiring at 7:52 to make it 5-3. But literally 30 seconds later, it was Zeev Buyum with a goal off a very unfortunate deflection in front to get the Wild back within a goal at 5-4. And I say unfortunate deflection because this isn't a normal redirect tip-in. It bounced off the shoulder of a fallen Dellandrea and just propped up into the air, where Askarov lost it. He couldn't find it, and it just floated behind him over his head, where he was just looking around in front of him trying to find it, and fell behind him and into the net. So I don't know if I can fault him for losing the puck in the air on a very weird redirect. So just felt very unfortunate. Well, that's why I said unfortunate. I don't need to explain that, but we're not done yet, because late in the period, it was Joel Eriksson Ek who tied the game at 5 when Kaprizov fired through a screen. I mean, at first, everyone thought that it was Kaprizov with the goal, but it was redirected slightly by Eriksson Ek. And I think what's most notable about this goal is that if you look at the replay, you can actually see in the background Gustafsson was skating toward the bench for the Wild to get an extra skater on. So it wasn't with the goalie pulled technically, but they were about to. So anyway, much to my chagrin, the Sharks were back in overtime. And this overtime did not go nearly as well for the Sharks as the one in the Rangers game. The Sharks trio of Eklund, Wenberg, and Liljegren, which I think it's interesting. They've been throwing them out there first so that Celebrini can jump on second, which runs some risks, as I'm about to explain here, but also can have some huge rewards. Um, those three players, Eklund, Wenberg, and Liljegren, were unable to make a change or get off the ice for over 3.5 minutes of play in overtime. A normal shift is less than 60 seconds. 3.5 minutes, over 200 seconds. It took a puck ringing off the goalpost and all the way out of the zone when Eklund, the youngest one of the three on the ice, made a heads up play and honestly a gamble and just started sprinting towards the bench so that Celebrini could hop over the boards. And this did lead to the Minnesota Wild having a 3-on-2 chance, which Askarov made the save, and it was a long rebound he kicked out, and Celebrini was able to win that quick little puck battle in the middle of the ice, pick it up, and just start sprinting the other way, all alone. Kid is legit superstar. He is the reason. Yes, there's so many reasons why the future is teal, but really he is the reason. He is going to be the one painting it teal. And he fired the winner home. Actually, he didn't really fire it. He had some finesse with the pace on this shot, but he sent it home through the 5-hole. So I don't know if that's necessarily humiliating. My dad, as the former goalie, would say so. But the fact is that the Minnesota Wild controlled this overtime and had the puck for 3 minutes and 40 seconds. Celebrini had it for 5 and scored the game winner.
And I mean,
like,
it was all, it
you
was
go.
Well, I mean, like, this is the play that made me say my statement that I did, because I lost my shit when I saw it happen. And I mean, it's all because it was Eklund, right, who made the risky play to go and swap out on the bench for Celebrini to get on the ice. So not only does he make that risky ass swap when really he probably shouldn't have, but then Askarov has to make the save, and Macklin Celebrini just says, "Give me that fucking puck," and goes and absolutely just nets it. Gorgeous.
I mean, yeah, he was like, "Here, you want to hold the puck all overtime? Here, let me borrow it for a minute, and then you can hold on to it. It can sit over in your net as long as you'd like." But this game, and I agree, Corey, not only was it convincing you to say a whole spiel, but this is really, I mean, between this and the Rangers game is why Celebrini was the NHL first star of the week. It really was. And I said maybe for the other video, we have to link the overtime highlights into the description of this video so everyone can go watch and see just how bad, like, honestly, I'm encouraging you to watch just how bad the Sharks were down. Like, they were trapped, for lack of a better word. They were just stuck out there with not much hope. Eklund had looked over and considered trying to jump off on like one or two other occasions if you watch the whole overtime. I agree. Very, very risky move. Probably not advisable, but Warsofsky's not going to correct him on it either, because when you're gassed and you can get the best player on the team, fresh legs out there who can just go make magic happen, seems to me to be worth the risk rather than risking being out there for the full 5 minutes with those three guys. So who's to say? It's a gamble either way, but moral of the story is Sharks got the win. Celebrini is amazing. The Sharks actually went 2 for 2 on their power plays in this game. So talking about their great power play, they also allowed the Wild to score on 2 out of their 4 opportunities. So it was all a bit of a wash in the end. But perfect on the power play, 2 for 2. That's not something I think I've said for the Sharks on this podcast ever. So that's a wonderful hey moment. Also, the Celebrini and Eklund each finished the game with 3 points. So Eklund had the 2 goals and 1 assist, and it was Celebrini with obviously the overtime winner, and he actually had assists on both of William Eklund's goals. They had a combined 7 shots on goal. So again, the Sharks shooters are shooting, and we love to see it. We love to see the top 6 firing on the net. And Askarov was great again in this game, honestly. Much better than the 848 save percentage credited to him for the game. Like I said, some of these I don't think were his fault. Those power play goals, it was really just good passing, good power play that Minnesota has. And I mean, Yeah, could he have been in the center of the net? Sure, making it easier to get across, but then he would have been leaving gaps open on the short side. So, hard to fault him for every goal that went by, especially the one that bounced off the Landria. But, Corey, man, this between the Minnesota game and the New York Rangers game, a couple of great wins for the Sharks here. Even though they were closer in the end than those of us fans would hope, they still got over the hump and got the win.
Yeah. At the end of the day, right now, with where they're at, that's all you can ask for.
And they did play a fourth game back home from this long road trip, or not long.
We haven't hit all four? How have we not hit all four?
Well, they hosted the LA Kings as the fourth one on the 28th. And considering where we're at on time and considering what games the Sharks have coming up in the next week, I'm thinking we might just save those notes for our next episode, Corey. What do you think?
I think we may, yes.
Yeah, so how about we keep moving it along? I'll just say for those of you who haven't heard elsewhere, the Kings did win this game 4-3. The Sharks were by far the better team and should have won if they could put the puck in the net more and not allow 4 goals on only 14 shots. But I will dive into that more when we're back in the tank and out of the cauldron next episode. But thank you all for following my scatterbrained process with a lot to celebrate and talk about this week. I hope you enjoyed some positivity from Dom here compared to the regularly scheduled depression. So thanks for following and joining with us today.
Absolutely. Well, our 3 players of the week are Trent Miner, who stepped in admirably against the Hurricanes and actually got a shutout in a losing effort. And then obviously once again played the Devils, a very difficult Devils team. So credit to him for stepping in, even though he didn't get the dubs. Number 2 is Valerian Nichushkin. He's on the list again. The train cannot be stopped right now. And I mean, he's showing out in every single game. And number 1 is Victor Golifson. Obviously, if you get 5 points in a game, that's a pretty easy one to shoot you to the top of the players of the week. So, your fun fact of the day. Today I bring you, after I write this down, today I bring you the strange tale of Duncan MacPherson, a seemingly unassuming Canadian-born defenseman who played in several minor leagues throughout his career in the 80s, including the WHL and AHL. His career only lasted through 1989, however. Why, you may ask? Because Duncan disappeared. Being drafted 20th overall by the Islanders, an injury-riddled campaign in the minors led to NYI cutting ties with Duncan, and so he turned to Europe to try and continue his professional hockey career. He traveled alone to Austria before he was set to meet with sketchy individual and British extraordinaire Ron Dixon, owner of the Tayside Tigers in Dundee, Scotland. Duncan was set to discuss terms of a contract to be a player coach with the team. However, he never arrived. In fact, it would be 14 years until anyone saw anything of Duncan. After he didn't make his meeting, Duncan's parents traveled to the, see if I can say this right, Stubatil Ski Region Resort, where Duncan had gone to snowboard on the Stubai Glacier. After following a lead that Duncan had borrowed a car from a fellow teammate and friend, the police hindered more than helped the MacPhersons, and initially there was no success in locating Duncan, despite his car being at the resort. 9 trips to the Alps, and 14 years later, there was a breakthrough. During a survey by an employee, he noticed a glove sticking out of the snow and ice. When he attempted to pick up what he assumed to be just some trash, the glove was in fact one part of Duncan's entire remains embedded in the ice. He had been found, tragically passed away, but found so that his family may have some peace. But what happened? There are many theories that pertain to the subject of Duncan's demise. I'll give you the most likely and a conspiracy theory. First was that the slopes on the day of Duncan's disappearance were particularly foggy, but Duncan shredded the slopes undeterred. When Duncan's body was found, it was noted that his femur was broken, along with the snowboard. In addition, several of his limbs were amputated and other bones were broken. This was indicative of an encounter with machinery. What kind, you ask? A snow groomer with rotary tracks. The prevailing theory, with some variation dependent upon which source, is that Duncan had an accident and broke his leg while snowboarding. While waiting for help in the fog, he was struck by an operator of the snowcat. Some reports state this collision killed Duncan, while others state Duncan was still alive. Regardless, fearing repercussions, instead of getting Duncan some help, the machine's operator pushed Duncan into a crevasse and buried him in the snow. The second, more unlikely theory is that Duncan was targeted by the CIA, as he had mentioned to friends and family in passing months earlier that the CIA had tried to recruit him, but he declined. No one knew if he was serious or not, but of course, people have still taken the statement and ran with it. But that is a shortened version of the sad and strange tale of Duncan MacPherson. The positive that we can take out of it is that he was eventually found. However, due to the mystery surrounding his demise, no justice has ever been rightfully served. However, if you want to dive deeper, there are great videos out there, as well as a book by John Leake, who wrote Cold a Long Time in Alpine Mystery.
Wow. Corey, have you thought about writing Halloween books before? Because that was very well said. I was following along like a kid, just like with a bedtime story.
I mean, I stumbled over myself a few times and had to go back and rephrase, but I am writing a book right now, so hopefully that all comes together in the same way that did. But I'm glad that was intriguing. I'm glad it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, what a perfect timing for you to have the fun fact with Halloween to tell a story like that. Our condolences go to the whole MacPherson family, of course, and being the source of this tragic tale, but I'm glad that they could find some peace, like you said.
Exactly. Well, the jack-o'-lantern is about to fizzle out. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this extra spooky episode of the Captain Avalanche Fancast. If you have something you want to know about the Avalanche Sharks or just hockey in general, reach out to us on our socials or email, and we'll be happy to try and answer it. We would love to hear and read your thoughts on our Instagram. The best thing you can do, if you like what we're doing here, is to follow us on whatever platform you're using and to share this podcast everywhere you can with everyone you can. I'm Captain Avalanche Corey.
And I'm Dom from the Cauldron.
Check out our new episodes every week. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Boo.